concert an hour before it started due to concerns over safety. We're hoping that we get somewhat of an update here as far as why that happened, and potentially if those concerns are extending to things that are going on this weekend. There's the Juneteenth Festival that is going to be starting on Saturday.
My name is Captain Miller. I'm the Public Information Officer for the Akron Police Department. Thank you all for coming, especially on short notice. We are going to discuss, the mayor will provide you some information and context behind the cancellation of weekend events. And at the end of his remarks, there'll be an opportunity to ask questions. We want to do that one question at a time. We're going to start from my left to right, give everyone an opportunity to ask questions. And then if there are any supplemental questions, feel free to do that at this time. At this time, I'll turn it over to Mayor Mallett.
Thank you, Captain. Good evening. Today, the City of Akron is canceling large gatherings on public property this weekend due to concerns raised by a number of City Council members. Late this afternoon, 8 City Council members shared a letter with me by email that asked me to cancel Juneteenth-related events due to safety concerns. We will be making a press release and the letter available to everyone. This letter was signed by 2 ward representatives where Juneteenth events were being held this weekend on Saturday and Sunday. Based on the City Council member's letter and the stated concerns in the letter, we are canceling the following events this weekend. Tonight, Rock the Lock at Lock 3, and a concert and water tower market at Triangle Park. Tomorrow, the Blue Heron Festival at the Mussel Store, the Akron Juneteenth Festival at Stoner Hawkins Park, the Ward 5 5th Annual Juneteenth Festival at Joy Park, the New U event at Hardesty Park, the North Hill 5K, and the American Heart Association Heart Walk. On Sunday, we are canceling the West Akron Parade and Juneteenth Father's Day celebration at Bookdale and the festival that was to follow at Kerr Park. We are canceling the Church in the Park event at Davenport Park, and we are canceling Wellness on the Plaza at Cascade Plaza. I've been a ward council member. I take the role of city council extraordinarily serious. When I get a letter like what I received that says that holding these Juneteenth events this weekend would be, and I want to be careful, to allow city-sanctioned gatherings so soon after this tragedy is irresponsible. When I get a letter like that, I take it seriously. I want to be very clear. Despite the deference to our city council members in this instance, there is no credible threat to this weekend's Juneteenth events or other events. Over the past week, I have worked with Chief Harding and Chief Henderson, for that matter with Captain Miller and Deputy Service Director Eufran C. Lash, who oversees Rexon Park, to ensure that safety personnel would be present at this weekend's events. It is important that our community safely gather. It is important that we mark important occasions. As such, we will be hosting an official Juneteenth celebration for the City of Akron. It will be this Wednesday on Juneteenth at the John S. Knight Center. We will have metal detectors. It will be indoors. We are going to ask that all organizers and vendors who are part of this weekend's community events be a part of this event. And we'll have more details on that soon. I want to be really clear. I can only imagine the frustration of the organizers, many of whom are here with us today in the back. Demarius Walker, who was to host Sunday's event, Fella Sutton, who was to host Saturday's event at Stoner Hawkins, former Councilwoman Tara Mosley Weems, who was to host the Joy Park Ward 5 event tomorrow. I can only imagine that the vendors, that the people who wanted to attend will be frustrated, will be upset. I recognize that. We as the city administration, and my hope city council as well, will do everything we can to make these folks whole. We hope that everyone can be a part of a wonderful Juneteenth celebration this Wednesday. But when I get a letter like what I received, I have to take that seriously, especially when it comes from the ward representatives in whose wards these events are going to take place. So we are happy to take your questions, any of us up here, and thank you for being here.
Starting on this side, anybody? Bryce?
So if there was not a credible threat to these events, is there anything that the council members were specifically pointing to? Or was it the mass shooting? Was it something else?
We will release the letter to you. I don't want to characterize the letter, but it does refer to the June 2nd shooting and concerns about the June 2nd shooting.
Derek?
I spoke to somebody who was on the Locktree stage around 5:30 when I guess the news came down. It seemed like they were like whisked away immediately. Was there an immediate
No.
threat, or did something come in?
There was not a threat, but what I'm not going to do is sit up here and say the Juneteenth events are canceled, but other large gatherings can go on fine, because the reasoning in the letter applies to all large gatherings, right? And so we are canceling large gatherings when 8 council members tell me that they have a concern about safety at all large gatherings, or I should say they have a concern about safety and ask me to shut down Juneteenth events. That reasoning applies to all events. And so I'm not going to pick and choose and say some folks can gather and some folks cannot. And so we decided at, 4:30 p.m., 4:15 p.m. to close the events that are going on this weekend.
Michelle?
Michelle Nix from Channel 19. Is this going to be our new normal, do you think? Because violence everywhere is kind of off the hook, not just Akron. Obviously, you've had a really tragic situation happen. And I certainly understand the concerns of the council people. But, I guess what can you say to some of these people that continue to carry guns, continue to fire guns and not care about other people's lives? They're ruining it for everybody else.
Yeah, what I would say is that we have made safety our priority since day one. I've been talking about safety since I started running for mayor and before. We are laser focused on making this community safer. We've spent the last week working to do everything we can do to ensure that events will be safe. We can never be perfectly positive that every event will be safe, especially not in a community where guns are so prevalent across this whole country. But we are working to ensure safety. And so when I get a letter like this, I have a responsibility to take it seriously, especially when it comes from 8 people who were elected to represent their constituents just like I was. And so I take that seriously. At the same time, we have events that are going to go on across this whole summer. And we are absolutely going to work to make sure this is not the normal. The Akron Police Department has been working this case around the clock. They have a lot of leads. There's information we can share and there's information we can't yet share because it would not be responsible to do so. There's no credible threat related to this. But when I get a letter like this, I don't really have a choice in the matter.
Go ahead, sir.
It's bigger than what y'all know, it's bigger than what you know. This is our Independence Day. We are proud people. And we have these events because we are proud, because we would be proud of our independence. So that's why we have these events. My event is at Maple Valley Library. So I can teach the children about historians, how they became free. I understand what you're saying. I respect it. But it's bigger than you know.
And I would just say, Ms. Wahid is absolutely right. This holiday has been a long time coming. This is I believe it's the 26th year this community has celebrated Juneteenth in our community. And I'm sure there were celebrations long before that official celebration. That is why we are going to work to make sure that Wednesday's event is as special as we can possibly make it. That's why we are going to work to make sure that vendors are whole. But I am sorry, Ms. Wahid.
To tailor on what Michelle said, What about large gatherings that people may privately host at their homes? I understand that you're canceling citywide large gatherings, but what about the private ones, especially on Juneteenth, as it is an Independence Day, similar to 4th of July? What if people are holding their own private gatherings at their homes?
Like I said, we do not have credible threats, and so we are not encouraging people to cancel all of their plans. But we would ask that people be safe and be responsible, that we make sure that things stay safe, and if people have concerns, that they reach out to us, and we try to work through with them. And that's what we've been doing over the past week with large public events. And that's what we encourage folks with private events. And we're working on more guidance to residents about, private events in general. But that's what I'd say. Chief, do you want to add anything?
No, to the mayor's point, we have no credible threats, and we will have additional staffing still out available this weekend as well as during Juneteenth. So we have already planned to have additional staff available to respond for any issues that may arise, but we don't suspect that there are any that will.
And I just have a quick follow-up question. If we did not receive this letter, would these events still be going on? Just to make it clear, there are no credible threats.
There are no credible threats. Our plan was to proceed. We have been having a lot of conversations about this. Yesterday evening, the council president reached out. I spoke with her. Chief Harding spoke with her. Chief Henderson spoke with her. We've been working on these events all week, and we've been meeting with organizers as well. And so our plan was for these to proceed. When you receive a letter like what we received, it's hard to move forward.
Sure.
I'm gonna let him go first. Mary.
First off, I want to say, I think it was irresponsible as the council people, councilman and woman, to even pull this off a day or two before the event, when the incident they're talking about was 2 weeks ago. So they could have did this the day after, 2 days after, 3 days after. Why you wait like 2 days before and the day before the event? And then I hear you say you're gonna make it whole. How exactly are you gonna make it whole? What pressure is on for us that when you do that? I mean, because they're coming for us. We the stakeholders, we the ones that organize this. So they coming with us for questions.
And sir, when they come for you, we are standing right next to you. I'll stand right next to you. You have my number. We are going to work through this,
You're
right?
bringing back our vendors?
That is going to be our goal. Yes.
How are you doing that? With cash or you trying to do it with this June 19th?
And respectfully, Mr. Walker, it's 8:03. We canceled these events at 4:30. We've already secured John S. Knight. We want every vendor who can to be able to participate on Wednesday. But there might be folks who are already, making food for tomorrow. There might be vendors who are already getting those things together. We are going to work with City Council, hopefully, to make everyone whole. Ms. Sutton?
There's 3 sets of events, and that's a lot of vendors. You fit that you join this night?
I asked them for the entire space.
And if they're not able to go, they'll be reimbursed.
That is our goal.
So,
I mean, it's a guarantee you got to
I'm not gonna. I don't have the ability to flesh it out in cash or credit or check today, but you have my commitment that is what I'm going to try to do. Tara?
Shamus, I'm concerned, why aren't those council members here? Where are they at? Because this is not on you, this is on them. Because you all have said there's no credible threat. You sent out a press release as to you and Chief Harding's plan, and we were excited about that. I've never had a problem with Joy Park, ever. My concern is we have council members who are using an opportunity to be vengeful. We had an event yesterday, and Ward 5 councilman was there, and he was encouraging the people to stand on the corner of Kelly and 8th Avenue and pray. But you don't want us right across the street at Joy Park. So I want to know, where are those 2 council people?
Are there other questions?
I have a statement to make.
Mr. Talley?
My first question is just, it's more of a time question. Did the letter from the council people come after your statement supporting these events?
Yes, it came this afternoon around 3:45.
Okay, that was the big question. I also want to know why they're not here. It's obvious, but, I'll let him go for now. I have another.
Actually, we'll come over here and I'll grab you next. Go ahead, sir.
I just want to confirm how long this ban is going to go for. You mentioned this weekend, but how long is this going to go forward? This ban on events in public?
It's not a ban on events, but we're canceling, in light of receiving this on a Friday evening, we're not having this weekend's events on public property. We don't have a plan to ban public events. We don't have a plan to ban large gatherings. We don't have a plan to do any of that. We're speaking about this weekend's events. And, this is a summer where we are going to work to have wonderful public gatherings inside and out
I thought I was using the word ban, and I guess cancel.
this weekend.
Okay, that's what we're talking.
This weekend.
This is what we're talking.
Yep.
Hang on 1 second. Go ahead, sir.
Okay, my name is Earl Holmes, Bible Block. I'm a member of the Council of Elders. I'm a member of the Akron Rights Passage Institute, the board of directors for that institute. We put a lot of time in our communities. To have people who are not from our communities make a decision this big, and believe me, it's a big decision, to cancel events that have been going on for 26 years, or 5 or 10 years, I'm not sure how they fall into place. But to cancel that event on the eve of the event, at the midnight hour of the event, we got people out there. I hear you saying it is your intent, but my question is, where does intent go? How far does
I will do
go?
everything I can to make that happen, to make folks whole.
As they come up, I mean, is there going to be a process for them?
We are going
get their
to
money
nail
back?
down the details for Wednesday as quick as we can. We're going to share those with all the organizers as quick as we can. That's why we invited all of you here this evening. We called you within the hour of canceling these events. We called you within a few minutes of canceling these events. But then from there, folks who are not able to participate, we want to make them whole.
Okay, so
Go. Are you done, sir?
now,
All right, go
one
ahead.
more question about the credible threat. Credible threats in our neighborhoods are gonna be there. And it's on the Akron Police Department to make sure that we are safe in that space. No matter what day of the week it is, what time of the month it is, or whatever's going on in the city. Our events are our events, and we need to be able to have them and have them in peace. Now, it's our kids that are probably walking around doing some of this. And we need to probably take some responsibility for that. I don't say we don't. But we still need to be able to put on our events, and we need to not allow, whether it's 6 other people or 5 other people plus the 2 ward members, to be able to cancel or stop. What's gonna happen at Kwanzaa? I'm a co-chairperson of the Kwanzaa committee too. I do a lot of stuff here. So, are we gonna cancel the 7 days of Kwanzaa too?
So your first one, I agree with you. We
Okay.
need to work collectively to make sure that the events are safe. We put together a plan this weekend ourselves with the fire department and others trying to deal with organizers. We were pretty comfortable in the plan, the staffing we had to address that this weekend. And we're gonna continue in that regard moving forward. I completely agree with you. People should be able to come together and celebrate, and we're gonna work hard to keep people as safe as we possibly can. As the mayor said, there's no guarantee. People can't be everywhere. Anything can happen, but we were pretty comfortable in the planning we had this weekend, and we're gonna continue to work on making every event we're aware of in the future as safe as we can.
Okay, so the seven people who said they don't think we should have it, they get to make that decision for the city, or?
I'm not here, sir, to I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but respectfully to speak for the council members, right? They can speak for themselves, right? They are elected representatives too, right? And that is serious business, right? And so when I get a letter like this, if I had written a letter like this to the mayor, I would want it taken seriously.
Can
Now-
I ask you a question
Yeah.
real quick before you finish?
Sure.
I'm sorry, but I just wanna know can we unelect those people before
You sure can.
before their time is over? Can we unelect those people?
I'm not here to discuss that, sir.
Go ahead, Terry.
Okay, thank you.
Go ahead.
One last question, for either for the chief or for Mayor Mallett. In that, the context of that letter, do they call for a curfew for the entire city?
No.
Because I'm confused, because most gun violence happens at night. And, I mean, look at the statistics. So if they're concerned about safety and danger, why don't we have a
We
curfew
are-
for the entire city?
We are not instituting a curfew. No one has asked us to institute a curfew, and I do not feel that would be appropriate. When it comes to events that are occurring in a ward, at city-sponsored events on city property, right? When a ward council person says that they believe that's irresponsible or dangerous, then I have a responsibility to listen to that. We are not instituting a curfew in the city of Akron.
We got time for 2 questions. I'll go to Derek, then to the back of the room.
You have to make decisions I do not have to make. Can you walk me through what would have happened had you not listened to this letter? What were your fears if you did not listen to this letter? What could have gone wrong, I guess?
I'm not here, Doug, to answer hypotheticals respectfully, but we had put together a plan. Fire, police had put together a plan. We were meeting and talking about concerns because certainly this is a tense moment for the city. No one would deny that. But we have to make judgment calls, and we all have a responsibility to exercise our judgment. And I have to weigh all the different things. When I have more than half of Akron City Council saying that these events are irresponsible, I have to weigh that too. And so this is where we landed on this one.
All right, last question in the back, sir.
Obviously, I'm not yet privy to the contents of that letter, but is there anything proposed in the letter to promote safety and make it responsible moving forward for future events? Or is it just a letter saying it's irresponsible for this?
We'll release the letter. I'm not gonna rewrite the letter here. But we have been working very diligently to put forward things based on violence prevention, violence intervention, working with the Akron Police Department and our federal partners and state partners, working with to bring a new program around credible messengers, folks who have lived experience dealing with this, to try to get people out of paths that turn to violence, working to make sure our young people have extracurriculars. Yesterday, I'm not going to go there, but there are kids who need our help, right? We are not going to solve this issue overnight, but we will always, as long as I am mayor, we are going to be laser focused on safety.
Okay,
Thank you.
that'll wrap it up for us. As the mayor indicated, we will have a press release out here. I imagine within the hour. We'll do our very best to get that out as soon as possible. It'll have the press release. It'll have that letter that the mayor referenced that we received from City Council. Any other questions, you're welcome to email press@akronohio.gov. Anything ancillary connected to the events or questions you may have had about, anything connected to that, feel free to submit those questions to that email address. And thank you all for coming.
Thank you.
What seems to be a controversial decision there. Now, there was no outright threats that ultimately led. Let's see what Mayor Shamus Malik, maybe we could show that or not. No outright threats were discussed there. However, the decision was made to end all events this weekend. Obviously very controversial, as you heard from there. We're going to have much more on this tonight at 19 News at 10 and 11. We will have that, of course, in a little bit. Michelle Nick's there, too, to break down the latest in that.
We're going to send it out with attached to the press release as well.
But a pretty uneasy press conference there.
Welcome.
Community members in attendance, obviously, clearly upset. All right, we'll have much more on this tonight. 10 o'clock at CW, 11 o'clock on CBS.
19 News, now streaming on Samsung Smart TV.